Music producers and artists struggle with mixing vocals because the vocal mixing chain can be 12 plugins long sometimes. And the reason that is because plugins in the older, digital version, they tend to not sound like analog gear. So you need about 12 plugins to do the job of one plugin. That's why I made one plugin that sounds like analog gear, to where you don't need 13 plugins to do the job. Here's an example. So here's the before vocal.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness.
Very squashed, very thinned out, very just aggressive sounding. Now here's our one plugin called the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering. We're on version 8 currently, and I showed you guys a video where we did this from scratch. We'll do it again here.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking.
Sounds night and day. It sounds like a 4D 8K movie versus something you watch on a very small screen. So here's the
sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
That's the Logic Pro plugins, and then we're gonna run into the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
So let me show you guys why traditional plugins don't really work on vocals as much. Now, when you're in a pro recording studio and you have everything perfect in the recording, you don't even need plugins for the most part. Okay, so the demos they show us online are usually in a pristine vocal recording where there's no noise, no background cars, no airplanes, no dogs barking. All right, everything's perfect, right? You got the perfect vocal chain, perfect preamp, perfect everything. Conversion into the interface. And so we perceive the plugins that people are building for us for vocals as if they're so good, when in reality it had nothing to do with the plugin. It was the recording process. Okay, and a lot of the processing happened before it even hit the computer, because I've been to Paramount Studios real quick. Room B, here's the chain. Okay, Sony C800G, we're talking about like a $12,000 mic right there, going into, I'm sure it had Megami cables going into a preamp, a Neve 1073. That's like $3,000 plus, okay, or whatever the price is nowadays. And then that went into an 1176 compressor before it even went into Pro Tools HD. So we're talking about like $20,000 plus of gear before you even hit the computer. And that's what people don't realize is happening. And we're being sold like this, the CL76 is going to make our vocal sound good, and the, the vocal box, it's just like all this stuff. Okay, they're just fooling us. Okay, so here's why I've created my own plugin, because I'm so tired of these audio companies.
Sitting in.
All right, so we're going to start from scratch and go through the logic of doing this. So let's remove all effect plugins. So for this vocal, I'm going to be short. This isn't like a tutorial. I'm just showing you guys the thought processes, and we're going to compare it against the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering to show you why one plugin can do the job of all these plugins and be better. Okay.
Sitting in the land, watch.
So the main mistake that we deal with plugins is that everything feels squashed and small. Like it feels like it's inside of something. It doesn't feel like it's outside the speakers. It feels like it's just contained inside something. So the first thing we want to do is not do too much with the dynamic range. The mistake most people make with vocals, or any beat for that matter, is just killing any ups and downness. Okay, so you want your ups and downs to breathe. You want your vocal to be controlled, but you don't want to squash everything to flatten it. So compression flattens it, and people forget to unflatten it around the transients. So yes, it's okay for vocals to have a transient or a shapeliness to it, a spikiness to it. So firstly, we need to go to the EQ.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my.
Because on this vocal, there's a little bit of AC hum, and I didn't realize it when I was recording, but I guess I was right next to the AC unit. So we're going to put this at 24 dB per octave and just kind of sweep until the AC hum goes away. If you guys need to kind of hear it, you could boost up using the Q.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
And you can hear it right at 40 hertz. It's like a.
Sitting in the land.
I'll turn it up just so you guys can hear. Let me add a low pass filter to really exaggerate this frequency. So here's the AC unit right around 40 or 60 hertz. You guys hear that? So that's not my vocal. That's the background noise. Okay, that was recorded in. So that's this poor recording technique. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out using a high pass filter at 24 dB per octave. Now you got to remember that when you cut the lows, especially on my voice exists in the lows. So if you keep cutting the lows, you're not just cutting 40 hertz, you're also cutting a little bit of 50, a little bit of 60. And so you're taking away from my fundamental of my voice, the thing that makes my voice sound sturdy, okay? And sounds like me is my fundamental frequency. So we got to be careful not to overly cut past this point because it can chop out and sacrifice our original voice. So let's make sure that frequency is gone. So we're going to pull this up to about 80 so that AC is turned down to where we can't really perceive it. Now with compression and stuff, it could pull that frequency back up. Okay, just letting you guys know. So that's all we did with that EQ is just simply take out the AC unit. Now we could go through and figure out everything wrong about the vocal, but sometimes when you solo dissonance, it sounds crazy, but but dissonance plus consonance sounds good. And that's a hard thing to wrap your head around. Like negative frequencies sound bad by themselves, but combined with other good frequencies, it has a balance to it. It's almost like a tritone, for example, for those who know music theory. Like a tritone sounds crazy by itself, but when you add it as a turnaround chord, it sounds good. So in our vocal, we don't always want to just always get rid of the negative things because it can balance against the positive things. And I'm speaking in general for those who understand what I'm saying. So my fundamental frequency sits somewhere around 150 on this vocal take because I was pitching my voice up. So it's somewhere around 180, 200 hertz. So technically we could cut more lows, but that would be really cutting it close. So I'm going to stick around 80 just to be safe. I don't want to overly cut the lows here. Now the effects you guys are hearing are the sends here, so all that chorusy and reverb stuff. Let me turn that off just for now. So here's before. We're not going to hear much different. Here's after. Now it does kind of make my voice sound a little boxier simply by taking out that AC. It does something to the phase and reshapes some of the correlations up here. To where now the tones sound different. They pop out different. Watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. So it does something, okay, to the thing. So to compensate for that something, I know I'm being vague here, but I'm giving you the reasoning behind what I'm doing. Now we're going to reinforce the fundamental of our vocal. Now in this case, it sits around 200. Everybody's vocal is completely different. If I go down here, I have a different fundamental than if I talk like this. So it doesn't, it's always going to change. It's the lowest hill or resonance you find in your vocal. That just adds that radio style support to your voice. Now some people, whenever they boost, they make an equal and opposite cut. So they may take this point over here. I don't know why I can't click it here. At this point here, the second harmonic. And they may cut this. Now, I think that's a tone that sounds weird by itself. But it adds a boxiness, like a woodiness, a boxiness, especially around 500. It adds a realism to the voice. So if you just cut this out, it's going to take away from the realism of your vocal. For this vocal. The things that make it sound like it's organic. So that's where, a dissonant thing or something that rubs you wrong soloed actually has a purpose in the entire thing. Anyway, without overly complicating that's what some people like to do. The mindset is not just frequencies, it's based on the fundamental frequency and then the second harmonic here. And then I'll boost the highs to open up the vocals. We don't need to do too much, okay? Just reshaping some of that tone coming in. So here's before. Here's after. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. It's just subtly poking that vocal out, like it's super subtle. For people without good headphones, you probably didn't even hear a difference. Okay, that's how subtle that is. Or transparent, I meant to say that is. So now I like to work into, my favorite is FET for the harmonic structure, the sizzliness of it. Okay, then there's the VCA if you guys, it depends on your voice. My voice goes well with the VCA compressor, especially this take. It sounds really good through the classic VCA. That's become one of my favorites in Logic. The FET is probably best for drums, like hip hop drums, West Coast drums, something that needs that crunchiness sound on it. Everything else, I really don't mess with these. It just depends on the tone. So let's start off with the FET though. Now FETs classically, they're very fast. So people use these to catch the jumpiness of the vocal. But like I said before, when you do too much compression and you flatten all the vocals, it doesn't have any jumpiness anymore. There's no like expression when I talk and when I talk. That's what made Tupac's vocals like, epic, is because F the click and the click you claim, I'm a rise high, I'm a quick like it's a jumpiness to it. If it was like F the bitch in the click you claim, like if everything was just stable and linear, it wouldn't have the same expression. So don't always think you have to kill all transients in the vocal. Like you can definitely overkill your vocals that way.
Sitting in a lane.
But we're going to use this to tame some of those transients. Now, the way I'm going to do this is have a fast release. We're going to take off auto mode and take off auto gain so I can actually hear what's happening. And I want my release to be fast because I don't want the compressor to hold the volume down. I want it to just simply address a transient that happens very fast, turn it down, and just get rid of the transient. I don't want it to pull down on anything else for the most part. So my attack also has to be fast as well. So I usually pull these back to 0 or the lowest value. But then we have an aggressive saturated sound here. So this is where the threshold comes into play. Like how high of a volume am I going to allow? Basically, I'm trying to find that sweet spot where the transient pokes out and the rest of the volume of the vocal does not.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic.
So it's like,
fitted on with my
-2, okay, for this vocal. So this compressor shouldn't be audible. Here's before.
Watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
Here's after.
Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness.
Here's before.
What we doing right here is magic.
Here's
Out
after.
the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking.
It should just be super transparent. Now, depending on how tall the transients are, I could just visually see zooming in. We're not being like mathematicians here. But if we zoom in, you can kind of see, okay, the transients poke up a little bit. So if I turn those about halfway, that's not going to kill the point. It's just going to kind of match it with the sustained sounds. So I don't need to crank this up to like 4-to-1 ratio or 8-to-1 ratio where it's trying to really slam down that pointiness. I just need the pointiness to come down a little bit. So basically this is determining how much pointiness are we pulling back the ratio here. I'm going to leave it on 2-to-1, but I'm going to crank it up so you guys can understand. Again, this is such a transparent compressor, you're not going to hear it. You have to understand the concept of transients.
Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white.
So this meter, and again, this deals with how compressors are built and their detectors and everything, but this meter jumps more at 2-to-1 than 4-to-1. How's that make sense if it's taking out less volume? Okay, whereas 2-to-1's taking out more volume here. So I think this reacts differently at 4-to-1.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here.
And 10-to-1 is barely moving. So now I'm going to move this threshold.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is
So 10-to-1 is less sensitive, but when it hits, it really pulls down the volume. So I think the sweet spot for this is 4-to-1.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted.
And again, we shouldn't be hearing the compressor. It's simply a transient control. If you wanted to be more particular, you could clip the sound. However, when you clip, you're squaring off the sound completely. There's no roundness to it for the most part, and it's going to sound very non-organic or like slammy. Okay, it's going to sound very aggressive and harmonic. We're not trying to do that though.
Watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with
so far we have an EQ, we have a compressor. Now the next compressor is for the body of the sound. So I'm thinking of the sound in different stages. You have the pointy part, you have the body. So now let's focus on the body of the sound. Now here's where we can get creative with the sizzle of the sound. Okay, now I'm going to start with the VCA because this has a set attack and release and everything. So let's start with
sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with.
Let's take off auto gain.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is.
I'm going to take it up to 0 and then dial it back so that I can understand how much of the actual vocal take we're adding this effect to.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave.
Now for you guys, I'm going to turn this up just so you guys can hear what I'm doing.
Sitting in a
but this is not a step by turning up the output gain.
Sitting in a land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood.
So here I'm just creating that glue effect that people talk about. It's a cohesion in volume, almost like how auto-tune makes it sound like a cohesion in pitch and tuning. Well, we can have a cohesion in volume. And essentially, when you get into deeper understandings about the stereo field, left and right and all that, if everything is playing the same volume in the left ear and the right ear, it sounds centered. So we're also adding some monocompatibility, and that's why it feels more cohesive, because now the left ear and the right ear are now being collapsed to the center in some areas, okay? And we're also keeping the volume more predictable. Now, I don't control the attack and release, but I do like the envelope they're using on this.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
Now, see, we have to use like very small amounts, because in real studios, you can hit a compressor and do 20 dB in one compressor. Whereas plugins, you do 20 dB, it's going to sound like it's underwater. So that's just the makeup of most plugins here. So now we're going to run into an FET. Now this one, I'm going to try to get more character out of the sound here by first pulling the release down to 0. We don't want the attack at 0 because I don't want the transients to be affected. I just want the body of the sound. So usually transients last for like 30 milliseconds or less, especially on less boomy things like a vocal. Okay, so you can be assured that anything above 30 is pretty much the body of the sound. I'm generalizing. Okay.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through.
So now I know I'm affecting the body of the sound and not the transient.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on.
Now here's where I might experiment with distorting, like a soft clipper.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
Or distortion. So I don't control the knee of this distortion, but it adds a harmonic transfer curve, okay, which is brightening up the tone, adding more frequencies to the vocal.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
Now I want to slam this one and blend in the mix level here.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't.
So it sounds squashy, but let's pull back the mix level.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the.
I'm trying to push it to where it's not powdery, but it's also adding an effect.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with
So here's
my
before.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking.
So this does add a smeariness to it. So let's pull back the attack to see if we can get rid of that smeariness by just saturating the sound more.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
What I'm going to do for this is, instead of putting this directly on the vocal, let's use that as a send. Let's do that as a bus, and let's go to bus 8 and drag that over to the bus. That way we're not sacrificing the original sound and trying to like balance it out. Let's just send that as a.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave
and now I
through
can
traffic.
control.
Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't.
Now, another thing I might do on this channel is figure out some kind of harmonic saturation. So let's go to distortion. I like their distortion 2. Chroma Glow could be cool. I've never used this on vocals. So let's try it actually. So Chroma Glow, I think mirrors, or they're trying to model preamps.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
I think it sounds lighter on vocals. I've tried this on beats, but it just doesn't. I've never gotten this to sound good on beats. So on vocals, I will say it sounds more like more. What's the word I'm looking for? More built for vocals. I can't think of the word I'm looking for.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger.
More appropriate, that's the word.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
I think 80% is the sweet spot for this one. I don't want to push that too aggressively.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get.
So that's adding the edge to the sound without,
sitting in the.
Without making our original sound too powdery and too squashed, dynamically speaking.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through.
Now let's compare this just so you guys remember, the BusyWorks Beats ad mastering.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
How big that sounds. It sounds so big, full, clean, and wide. Okay, I'm just showing you guys, why these plugins in your DAW. You may think you're doing something, but when you compare it to the big dogs like that, it's like night and day.
Sitting in the land.
Now, my next goal is to expand the audio. 1, to give it more dynamic, more ups and downs, and 2, because it has a built-in soft clipper that sounds nice sometimes. So,
sitting in the land, watch me weave through.
And we're gonna get more loudness out of this. Now, if you put this on peak mode, it will focus on the ups and downness, I'll say. If you put this on RMS, it just focuses on getting that vocal louder overall.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
You got to be careful because by default it has a soft clip, and that can be very distorting.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness.
I do like the tone, but it just goes a little bit above the edge for me to where we can't roll that back. So I'd rather dial in more saturation in a different plugin than commit to that much saturation on the vocal.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
Let's also turn auto gain off.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe.
So now we have about 3 dB of headroom on this channel. I'm not sure how much the bus is eating up.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't.
Now there's still some AC hum in there, and that's just poor recording technique. Some things you can't just magically, you know, wave a wand and they go away. Now what we can do is try to roll up even higher with the high pass filter, but then we're sacrificing the actual vocal. So I'm going to roll this up to about 90 or 100 to see.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the traffic.
So we lose too much of the boominess that we need for this track. So I'm going to just keep it at 89 for now. But there is a little flaw towards the middle that AC unit really picks up.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe.
Now let's also add in these other effects because that is part of the volume is these effects.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
But it still sounds squashed. So even though we have, you know, very subtle amounts of compression, even using parallel compression, it still feels like it's pulling down. It doesn't feel like we're expanding out. It feels like we're going down. So again, let's compare this with the BusyWorks Beats AI mastering on the second channel.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness.
It just sounds so rich and full and dense.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
This just feels smeary and like linear.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
So it's not you guys, it's the plugin. It's just the nature of how these plugins are built. And I pulled up what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugins already, guys. We shouldn't need 5 plugins. Now on this one, I'm going to load up the side image and let's try to widen out this vocal because we have a multi-mic vocal here.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave.
So some of the side image can widen a track.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
And then we can emphasize certain frequencies. If you want more of an envelope around your sound, maybe pull up 200.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
If you want more just presence, pull up like 2 to 5K.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave.
All right, so basically the main difference that I'm hearing on the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8 versus this one.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African.
It's like the Logic Pro chain lacks a density, I'll say. I know I'm generalizing because I'm not trying to be like vague, but it lacks some kind of density if I had to put a word to it.
Sitting in.
And that's the part that you can't really.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
Now let me see what kind of saturation tools they have. So we did the Chroma Glow, which is supposed to be like modeling analog gear or a preamp or something like this. Now it's on tube saturation. I think if we go, let's go analog preamp just to see if that's different in tone.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
Let's do a colorful tone. That way we get more harmonics out of it.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness.
It's very, very, very subtle. I think the modern tube was a little more apparent.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is
yeah, so it's just adding a lift. There's really, to try to pick out the harmonics by ear, it's really just a lift thing.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
All right, so we're getting
sitting in the land
harmonics out of it, but we're not getting that depth, that dimensionality.
Sitting in the land.
So here's the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8. I'm clicking on the wrong buttons. Here's this.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and
And
African.
when I switch back, you can instantly feel that difference in, like, it's way too smooth on the main vocal. And let's just play the original or the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8, and then I'll switch back to the Logic Pro Chain.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold.
See how it just lost energy, it lost dimensionality, it lost height, it lost a lot of things. So that's where I think, you know, my plugin really shines. Let's see what phase distortion does. Now this is more for bass, but I just want to see what it does on vocal.
Sitting in the land, watch me.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind. This does way too much. I don't know how to dial this in either, so.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger. Sitting in the land, watch.
Okay, so that's the delay that.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
All right, never mind. I was trying to be fancy, but I'm not familiar with that plugin and how it works, so let's not be fancy on this one.
Sitting in the land.
So, I mean, you know, from here, guys, if you wanted more, you know, density, I may add more saturation from the FET compressor, but just turning off the compressor. So it's 1-to-1, turning off the release, and the attack really doesn't matter because the compressor will be off unless it passes 0. But even then, we have it set to 1-to-1. I'm going to use the distortion modes here.
Sitting in the land, what?
But it's so heavy. There's no middle ground, so we're going to pull back the mix level.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
All right, so let's compare that
Sitting in the
with the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood.
It's like we fell off a cliff into Logic Pro. It's like only until you hear, like I said, this stuff side by side will you understand the dramatic difference. Again, I'll play this back to back a little bit longer, so people who are not used to hearing vocals like this, we're going to play the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8 one time through, and then the Logic Pro Chain one time through.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired. Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
There's a Logic Pro
Don't get
Chain.
hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired.
All right, now I'm going to switch them back and forth so you can really hear that difference.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire.
All right, so there's clearly, you know, a difference, okay? And that difference is all the subtleties that make up the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8. Okay, it's not just one plugin or another that could just take it there. Now, one plugin we did not add, though, is a limiter. So let's add a limiter. Now, I found that the adaptive limiter is softer than the original limiter. So let's use the original limiter here and just slam into the original limiter.
Sitting in the land, watch.
All right, so now we're gonna push the gain
Sitting
here.
in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
So we're getting about 4 more dB before we start.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave.
And we are clipping on the master channel, so technically we're going past 0. Let me see where we're at with the BusyWorks beats plus the aux tracks.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
So we're at negative 0.2, whereas the Logic Pro chain.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
It's 2 dB above, so we need to set a, I'm trying to think how to do this as a group. Technically I would have to set a separate mix bus, but for now we're just going to pull this down 2 more dB just so everything's turned down.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking.
See how the Logic Pro chain isn't as like, I don't know, it's just way more open on the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8. It's way more clearer, I guess is the proper grammar for that.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my...
Now here's where you could go into all these special aux sends that people have to really separate their vocals from the next person. Now we're getting into creative tools. It's not about
Sitting in the
this linear chain here.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a...
Now, I don't think Logic has a mid-side compressor that we can tap into. I'm not familiar if so. So there are some ignorant things that I bring to this experimentation, which is how to separate in Logic. So let's go to IO. Usually it's in a gain plugin or utility plugin. So we have, okay, we can swap. That's not what I want to do. Let's try another utility. I think that's for gear. Duh. And then, yeah, that's not what I want. So I may have to use a third-party plugin here called FabFilter Multiband. Now, assuming it doesn't have any latency issues, let's pull this up. We're going to pull up FabFilter Pro MB because what I need to do is separate the side image. So basically, we're going to select everything as the band, and then we're going to solo just the side image and audition this. Turn it up to here, and then switch this to side. So now we should be able to hear just the side image here. Now, if I drag this to the main thing, can we do that in Logic?
Sitting in a...
Okay, so it's not doing it here. Let me make sure it's on audition mode. So this is the side image, meaning the difference between the left and the right. So what I want to do is, I guess we could do it with this. Duh. Let me think though, how to do this without, I guess we could do it directly on the channel. Yeah, because it can. Okay, so what I'm going to do is compress the side image using a Pro MB. To try to flatten out some of the side here before we go into the limiter.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
So I guess we don't need to send. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought we'd just separate the sides. Never mind. Here, we could do it in this plugin.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking.
It's a little jumpy. Let me pull it down a little bit.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fit.
All right, now it's kind of tricky. Like my ear's like, wait, am I hearing the side image or the main image?
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness.
I'm not gonna use my ear, so to do this, I'm gonna exaggerate the output.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trap.
All right, so it's just a little hard to hear that at regular volume. Whoops, let's pull this back.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
And now I'm just gonna ask, does it make it better or not? So
sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
This kind of makes it feel weird. Like the smeariness feels a little weird. So let's blend the mix level in.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right.
But it still feels squashed. It doesn't feel open. Okay, and this is the conundrum. So let's throw a little Hail Mary here for the program and add an expander, but this is on peak mode. We're going to turn off the soft clip mode. So now it's only addressing the jumpiness, the pointiness of the audio, and less about the loudness.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
All right, now let's compare this to the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the...
It just sounds sturdy, clean, linear, full, has depth to it. It has that bigness to it. So
sitting in the land, watch me weave through.
We're going to switch back and forth. So I'm going to solo this for a whole pass, do Logic Pro, and then we're going to go back and forth like we did before. Here's the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
For the people jumping ahead, it's the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 8 plus our aux sends like reverb and delay and stuff.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired.
Now the Logic Pro
Sitting in the
chain.
land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired.
So it's like we got it to sound loud, but it doesn't sound tall, clean, full. It's all those other things that make a good song feel cohesive. So now let's go back and forth.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
And it still feels powdery and flat. I don't know how else to say it.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired. Sitting in the land, watch me.
Let's go to Logic Pro. Something's pushing a little too heavy into saturation. It's probably the compressor stage. Let me see.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my.
Or it could be that bus we set up. Something's a little too bitey.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket.
Yes, that's what it was. This
Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again.
Now the main thing to listen to here, okay, so now that I've added a competitive chain in Logic Pro, we're going to listen for the depth and dimensionality. So listen for that, not just how loud something is, okay?
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired. Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold.
So I'm going to point out the frequency that's making the Logic Pro chain sound just different for the most part. It's this
Sitting in a
around 300
Sitting in the land, watch me.
and 500 really, but just around this zone.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
I want you guys to focus on this frequency.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my.
Like, if we take it out, it kills the whole vibe. So that I'm just pointing it up so you guys can hear it.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
So it's like the hand over the mouth effect. Now, again, like I said about, I think I said this in this video about harmonics and dissonance. Sometimes we need the dissonance to balance with the consonants. And if we remove the dissonance, it doesn't have the same overall effect on the consonants. So in other words, it's almost like you can't, I don't know if this analogy makes sense, but when you bake a cake, it's like the eggs are already in there. You can't remove the eggs from the cake. You won't have a cake anymore. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's already baked into the cake as well. So there's two elements to this that I'm saying.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
But just listen for this zone.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic.
And again, if I cut it out, it feels hollow. So there's no compromise. It's just the harmonics themselves. So yeah, I'm showing you guys that.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under the empire. And I'm up chasing dough like I'm inspired. Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more.
So see how like these other plugins, they're trying to achieve something kind of like what we're doing, but to get there, it has to do all this aggressiveness to the sounds where we can't undo the aggression. Basically, we have to saturate it so much I'm using Chroma Glow in this case with the stock plugins that to get to the loudness, okay, we have to saturate it. But when you saturate it, you create this crunchiness in the vocal that shouldn't be there. In my opinion, for this vocal.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on.
But if we dial back the Chroma Glow, you lose the loudness. Okay, so let's blend this in.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped.
And now it just sounds thin and flat.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip-hop, the West took it back again. In a low rider, gold dating, spokes by it's me. I'm the ghost rider, more paper, more fire. But it's one nation under.
And now we have the harmonics kind of going out of balance there. Now I forgot to turn off the EQ.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African.
See how the energy difference just doesn't feel the same? Okay, so I guess what I'm fundamentally trying to show you guys is no matter how much we use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plugins, 12, 13 plugins on this vocal, and it still can't achieve the power of just one plugin. Okay, and this plugin wasn't even built for, well, initially it was built for AI vocals to clean those up. Then it moved into mixing beats, and then it moved into mastering. So it did evolve from vocals, to be fair. But like, guys, look, there's like 13 plugins. And it can't achieve the same bigness, that dimensionality. I guess the last analogy I'll make today is if you guys are cologne guys, it's kind of like putting a knockoff cologne next to a Creed cologne. Creed just has this openness, this dimensionality, this luxurious smell. And then you put it up against a knockoff and it's like flat. It doesn't last as long. It doesn't have all the characteristics of the Creed cologne, for example. So that's, for those who even wore Creed or even know what Creed is, that's my analogy here. So guys, go to busyworksbeats.com/AI mastering. And we even made this easy for you to where you don't need to know how to mix vocals. That's another hurdle for people. You just hit auto master, it masters it for you. It mixes your stuff for you. Okay. Now I got to be careful with the word mix, because when I say mix, I truly mean it's mastering, but this isn't on the master channel. So that's why I'm calling it mix. But when I say mix, certain people think it's going to, pull out the red. Now we have added an EQ, so you guys can adjust your vocals here. If there's weird parts of your vocal you don't like, you can address that here. But like I said earlier, we had to be conscious of the fact that the AC unit was going. So long story short, guys, go to busyworksbeats.com/AI mastering. Peace out, guys.